Runescape Dragonwilds it's just out. Jagex just dropped it out of nowhere. No promotions, no anything. They just said, "Hold my fire cape," and here we honestly are. And I have to say, I don't know what to expect. It's kind of sad because currently, obviously, the only right choice in life is blasting Last Epoch. So there's no time to play Runescape Dragonwilds. Even though I'm honestly kind of excited for this because if there's something that I would say probably has a chance to at least damage World of Warcraft, except Blizzard themselves, which they have been doing for a marvelously long time at this point, would probably be Jagex. Because Run Escape is effectively the top three most popular MMORPG.
So this came up out of nowhere. RuneScape Dragonwilds got shadow dropped on April 15th. And if you're one of the rare few who participated in the beta, this isn't much of a surprise, but for everyone else, the reveal here is a big surprise. It's a new RuneScape game. It's not an MMO, though. It's a survival crafting game heavily inspired by the likes of Valheim and Enshrouded. It is also
Who cares? It's literally fighting World of Warcraft.
very much an early access title that's still missing a lot of features at launch, but after spending a few days with it, this is a game with a lot of potential, okay? So the hook here is the Dragon Wilds themselves, a new, totally untouched continent in the RuneScape universe that is ruled by dragons. Yeah, you enter this place with nothing, you build up a base, craft weapons and armor, and ultimately take on the dragons and big boss fights.
Oh, that's disappointing. There's no clank, okay? Listen, if New World taught me anything, it's you can at least fake success until people get tired of mining, which is going to take literally 40 hours if mining is just exhilarating enough, okay?
Fights. It's a simple but effective premise for a crafting game, and right off the bat, there is a lot here to like if you're
Bro, imagine you're just some kind of nobody cares bozo doing your thing, hitting rocks with rocks, and suddenly a fucking legendary creature decides to fuck your day. Yeah, I would be pretty pissed.
at all into games like this. The art style is simple, but the game can look pretty great. The world's handcrafted, it's not randomly generated. For me, honestly, that's a big positive. Unless a game has really good procedural generation, it's starting to really drag when stuff is procedurally generated. Like, I like it when it's done well, but that's the exception rather than the rule at the moment. This game's world looks great. It has lots of little secrets dotted around to discover. It's just fun to explore. It's got maybe not a huge amount of mass. It's a little small currently, but I do expect everything to get more filled out in the future, and I think that's the nature of this type of a game in early access. As far as gameplay goes, it's the usual survival crafting kind of stuff. You're cutting down trees, you're mining rocks to collect resources, in which you obviously used to be.
He has good cutting form, not gonna lie. That's pretty good. As someone who has done this, yeah, it's not bad, not bad. Definitely decent. And the two is pretty good. The swing is kind of nice. Okay, now just add physics where your axe actually hits the tree, and there's like you know there's a distinct. Again, I think this is why New World was successful because they did distinct clanking sounds for mining when everywhere. Like you are alone, it's nature all around you, and you're like ding. Again, New World was a complete shit tier game on every level except that. And that was enough for, at least to make it survive a month.
Build shelter, crafting stations. That stuff's used to make more advanced resources, to make better equipment. You're familiar with this loop, but there is a notable twist, and that is the magic system. So this part is fun. As you level up your skills, which is the most RuneScape thing about the game, at the start, you level up a lot for doing just about everything. You unlock spells that assist you on your journey, etc., etc. Bob's your uncle, right? There's basic attack magic, but there's also a lot of stuff to help with the survival parts, like a magic axe that can cut down multiple trees at once, an explosive that can crack open mining nodes, a spell that speeds up the furnace, or a jump spell that allows you to reach higher ledges or survive longer falls. They do cost runes to cast, which are a resource you can find out in the world, or you can craft your own at a rune bench. They're plentiful, and thankfully they don't really weigh anything down, so you can easily
Oh,
load up on these things and cast spells pretty constantly.
oh,
And they're
that's
pretty
good.
effective and fun, and it doesn't take long before you get a whole bunch of them. There's also some pretty random stuff here with specific issues, but I'm not going to complain about a spell that turns trees into animal bones. That's a big why not? Sure, from me. Base building's also pretty satisfying. You get floors and walls to snap into place extremely easy, blah, blah, blah. There's a blueprint mode where you can plan out your building without using resources, and then there's even a spell that lets you use the camera freely while building, which is really a feature every game with a construction element should have. I don't know why nobody's thought of this. It's such a good idea.
Actually, yeah, this seems ridiculously good and easy. Holy, how have we lived our lives?
Yeah, it's a legitimately innovative idea, and I really like it. There's other legitimately innovative ideas here that I really like. So it's kind of unfortunate that at least right now, a lot of the other aspects of the survival they're so rooted in the past. Like storage is a common issue in survival games. It's a problem here. You can't build from storage. You can't access your chests easily.
Dude, I hate when you can't build from storage. I absolutely hate it. I hate going through 50 chests, okay? Just let me shit my shit into one chest and it's fine. And then if I'm near that chest, allow, things to use things from that chest.
Or label your chests or easily organize your stuff, so your options they're fairly limited. You're either making a big pile of chests with a bunch of random stuff in each one to dig through until you find the resource, or you can carefully organize each box, which is going to turn into a mess eventually anyway, because the item stacks are real small, just 50 items per stack for most major resources, and as low as 20 for some stuff. Certain resources also really a big pain to get, while other stuff that feels like it should be rarer is pretty easy to load yourself down with for whatever reason. Stuff like rare metals are a cinch to get, while something that should be common, like coarse thread, is a constant bottleneck. For some reason, the game wants like 6 coarse furs to make just one thread, and many things require multiple threads. It's one of the only resources that require that much stuff to make one item, and getting coarse fur is a pain. It's only dropped by rats and other animals, which are weirdly uncommon, and they only drop 1 or 2 furs if you're lucky, nothing if you're not. And then there's the amount of specialized crafting benches. There's too many of them.
Bro, that's kind of insane.
The amount of stations you need to bounce between to get everything made increases exponentially as the game progresses, and while it is not the most overwhelming crafting system ever, it does get tedious when you combine it with the terrible storage system. For how forward-thinking the building and the magic system are, the crafting feels really backwards. Or at least it does currently. An important thing to remember is that Dragonwilds is one of those for real early access games. Like, it's missing a lot of major features, and it's not just a game that they need to complete, so they released it in early access for money. It's an early access game. And honestly, I wish that they were more just straightforwardly early access. I wish that's what they were always using early access for. I wish you could have just released an unfinished game and be like, well, it's early access. It's going to be like that. This is an early access game where, I mean, certain stuff like archery, it's not even in the game yet. There's ranged weapons, but you don't get any experience for using them. This is a game that will most likely interact with its community.
Again, I have been saying this for years. Runescape is actually a really good game, to be completely honest. And, well, I'm not even talking about old school Runescape. I think Runescape 3 is a very well made modern game, if I'm being completely real. Because it has those dopamine hits, it has those things that you can farm and things like that. It does a good job rewarding you for your efforts and shit like that. But there's simply just too much things in it. You literally have no idea what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to be going, and things like that. So it's too complicated because the game's literally just too big. Okay, but if you turn that game into a third-person World of Warcraft clone, man, I think you win big. I think you win extremely big, in fact.
And that will define the direction it goes in certain aspects. That's a real early access game. I like that. But, I mean, there are also drawbacks, given that this is a game that's early on in its development. The actual content available is pretty small. You can play the game up to the first big dragon fight, and the quest stops there, which seems to be about 1/3 or even 1/4 of the main quest. So there's a lot to be filled out in the future. There's a solid 15 or 20 hours to get what is out of the game right now, but once you're done, there's not a lot else.
And there's probably going to be different biomes. So, man, they dropped the completely unfinished game. Shit. Wow.
This game has a long way to go to reach 1.0, but the bones are real solid here. All the parts in the game that feel good, I want to just like celebrate. It's good stuff. The magic is undeniably great. They really nailed the look and the feel. It's all satisfying to use. The combat is simplistic, but it feels satisfying. Even if many tough enemies can be defeated by simply dodging their attacks. I mean, technically that's literally true of any game, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty much true of literally anything. If they can dodge anything, you're probably gonna win.
But it feels particularly easy here because most enemies aren't that aggressive, so you can kind of just whack away at them without much pushback. Like the main problem here is the crafting, and it's definitely not a problem that I think won't get fixed or that gets in the way of all of the stuff that's awesome. Now, just because those enemies are easy doesn't mean the game is easy. I do want to say that. You can still get killed all kinds of dead if multiple monsters king up on you, which does happen pretty regularly. There's an invasion mechanic, and every so often you get hunted. A few monsters appear to attack you depending on the size and power of your group, blah, blah, blah. There's also dragon
Goblins, which implies the existence of goblin women. Okay, are we what kind of goblin women are we talking about here, okay?
attacks to worry about. And honestly, at the moment, these are pretty annoying with how the game works right now. What happens is that occasionally the dragon will appear and start blasting. Yeah, the dragon comes and says, so anyway, I started blasting. But what it's blasting with is poison snot. So you and your base, well, you get poison snot. It doesn't destroy your stuff, which is good, but it can and will kill you, even when you're under a roof and feel like you should be safe. There are also enemy tiers, so don't just expect to wander into a high-level area with low-level equipment. You can level up your combat and crafting all day, but if you don't have higher-level weapons and armor, the higher-tier enemies are still going to slap you around. It's
Makes
not
sense.
a case of skill either. It's the difference between killing an enemy with 5 hits versus killing them with 100 hits. And whether they do minimal damage to you or kill you in a single hit, like, this isn't quantitative, it's qualitative, okay? Tiers matter in this game. It's one of those kind of arbitrary limiting factors that forces you to get better stuff. Personally, I don't really mind it. It's a survival crafting game, so crafting is an important component. When it comes to death, the game's pretty punishing, too. You drop everything where you died, so it's classic corpse run type deal. If you bite it in your base, obviously it barely matters, but if you're way off or in enemy territory, it really sucks. There's no options or toggles to turn this off either. Same goes for the hunts and the dragon attacks. There's no way to lower the frequency or turn these attacks off. You're just stuck with them. They're things that, in isolation, are mostly fine, but then you have to deal with the game's quickly draining hunger and thirst meters, and it starts to feel like the game's kind of harassing you a bit. I've played a lot of survival games, and while most are
Oh, wow, so there's really a lot currently that needs to happen here, huh? I mean, again, doesn't seem that bad, even though it's like, what is it, roughly 25% finished maybe at this rate? That we saw a second biome just now, which is kind of cool, I guess. But how about a third biome, eh? How about that lambus bread and shit? How about Gandalf? There's also, it doesn't seem like there are currently any magic attacks, and magic attacks should be pretty good. Again, one of my big dreams is literally Runescape, but in, MMORPG format, which would be amazing. Okay? World of Warcraft, but Runescape. Do it, Jagex. Please do it. It's literally money on the table if you don't. You know?
going in the direction of making stuff like hunger and thirst a little less important. This game swings hard in the other direction. You got to eat and drink constantly. It gets seriously annoying after a while, and it's something I do expect they'll adjust in the future because it's way overtuned currently. Getting food and water isn't hard, but having to deal with these meters is a chore. And you're not playing a game to have chores, right? The survival stuff sometimes feels like it gets in the way
I don't know. Have you heard about the vision from Path of Exile 2?
of the more entertaining bits of the game, which is the base building and the exploration. And the dungeon crawling, yes, there are dungeons in this game, another bit inspired by Valheim, but these dungeons are not randomly generated or have their own traps or challenges to overcome. Ultimately, they're not as rewarding as they could be. You don't get any special unique loot for completing them, but there are important resources in these places, including essential items for building teleporters, which are actually pretty easy to build and really helpful for getting around the world quickly. I know I only glossed over the base building stuff here, but I have to say it's very well done. It's way less fiddly or frustrating than a lot of systems that are very much like it. And they give you a ton of options for sizes and shapes of tiles, so you can get really creative if you want to while building. I mean, you don't have to. You could make a real dull-ass, shitty box of a base if you really wanted, but the tools are there. That's what I'm saying. So we're at a fun but flawed experience right now.
Okay, fun but flawed still seems good. I mean, Valheim players are definitely gonna enjoy this. I'm not gonna enjoy this currently, and I hope I don't forget about it about the time when I want to enjoy this. Because again, Last Epoch kind of requires my attention, you know. But seems not bad. Seems not bad. Anyway, that was game ranks. Wow, just like that, dropped it. Barely finished state. Holy. But again, they have the whole Runescape thing to work with, so it could be good. It could be good. Anyway, bye bye.